Stampede Park's like a mini city, right? Roughly 100,000, give or take, people on site every day. In every city, there are medical emergencies. That's where health specialist Leah Sarich comes in. Leah is here now with what we should do if we need help while we're stampeding.
That's right, because you know you're out there to have a good time.
Of course.
But sometimes things can go sideways, for sure. So when you're down at the park, the main thing to know is that there are 9 medical rooms on site.
Oh, wow.
9 of them, and they're basically in any of the main buildings. And I spoke with the head of the medical services there, and he says on the busiest days and at the peak times, they'll actually have 42 medical staff on site.
We offer full paramedical services 24/7 now. We're on park 24 hours. The room behind me is called Pavilion Medical, and it'll be our main office, and it'll be staffed with paramedics and nurses 24 hours. Any of the main buildings has a medical room, and there's a lot of security on park that know where the medical rooms are. And we have roving crews on park also that are roving around, just checking on patrons and making sure everybody's okay.
So this is the main medical pavilion that you're seeing here. You can see it looks very much like a little mini hospital in there. They've got all the meds that they're going to need. They've got crash carts. They've got stretchers. It's air conditioned, which is really nice for the people suffering from heat exhaustion. And just like Scott said, they've got medical staff also roving. So you can look for those rooms, but you can also just ask anybody on park at any time that has any kind of Stampede identification, I need medical help, and they will get the medical people to you. Because they've got, you can see here the maps, and these are the different zones. And so they've got people just walking around those zones that are just cruising around, ready for you if you need them. So that's happening as well.
What are, I'm guessing that, I mean, something beer-related dehydration must be one of the more popular things that they treat, but there has to be others, too.
There are. You know what the actual main concern is?
No.
Blisters.
Blisters!
Blisters from your
wearing
new
our
cowboy
boots.
boots. Exactly. That's one of the, that is the biggest problem. Our blisters, for sure, is the big one, and then, of course, heat exhaustion, right? So you're just not staying hydrated. So Scott's advice, of course, is for the heat exhaustion people, you really need to wear your cowboy hat. So it's not just for looks. You really need to wear it to keep that sun off your head. And, of course, you really need to stay hydrated, particularly if you're enjoying an alcoholic beverage. Make sure that you stay hydrated, and especially for the little guys too, lots of sunscreen, try to keep them covered up, and make sure that, and you realize that it's definitely hotter on the park than it is anywhere else in the city, just because of the concentration of people, so keep that in mind. But like in all cities, a sudden and serious event can occur, for example, like a heart attack or a stroke, and if that occurs, Scott says they're prepared to help.
We have our mobile medical unit, which is like a mini ambulance, and we can respond with it with the assistance of Park Patrol. Our roving crews would come to the patient, assess, and then ask for backup and transport.
That is a mini ambulance.
That is a little mini ambulance there. You can see us having a little look inside. That's their medical services vehicle, and it can get to the person that's in trouble, and then they can get them to a medical room, and then they can even prepare them for transport. That is a little mini ambulance there. You can see us having a little look inside. That's their medical services vehicle, and it can get to the person that's in trouble, and then they can get them to a medical room, and then they can even prepare them for transport. And that means that they'll actually get into contact with Alberta Health Services. They'll get an actual ambulance on site. There's a couple routes they can come in through the back sides of the so for sure. And Scott tells me they can even perform a full code if they need to. So a full code is what they would do in a hospital. You know, if someone's in full-on cardiac or respiratory arrest, they can do a full-on code. Other things to know that, of course, anyone who works for Stampede will know where the medical rooms are. So even if you're just walking around randomly and all of a sudden you're like, I really don't feel well, just ask anybody with a Stampede sort of logo on their shirt, they'll get you the medical help you need right away. The other thing to remember is if you have a pre-existing medical condition, so maybe you've already got a heart condition, maybe you're diabetic, Scott says, you know, if you can, pop into one of the medical rooms and say, hi, I'm on site today. Just want to let you know I'm going to be here all day. This is the condition I have, just so the medical staff is aware that you're on site.
If you're a parent, if you have kids in the same situation too, right?
Exactly. If you've got a high-risk kid, let them know.
And then they're ready for it.
Exactly. They're ready.
All this information, it's a lot of it, it's going to be on your blog, right?
All on my blog, you bet.
breakfasttelevision.ca. That's